Hi everybody, Scotty here from Go RV. Welcome back to the channel. Today's videos are a continuing addition to our Quartzsite playlist from our January 2020 trip. We're going to be doing some street driving around Main Street in downtown Quartzsite. The way we're heading now is north, like we just got off Interstate 10 at exit 17. Quartzsite has two exits off of I10. This is the one that's further west, exit 17. That would put us exactly 17 miles east of the California border. The other exit, 19, is 2 miles to the east. That exit actually would probably be advisable to get off if you're driving a big rig, because 17 is just so tight and crowded with the overpass there. On our right is one of the three fast food burger joints in town, Burger King. Back behind us is, on the other direction, is Carl's Jr. They also have a Tesla charging station there if you need to get a charge. I know it gets busy on weekends. That entrance right there is the entrance to the Burger King and the mobile gas station. It's very tight in there. If you need gasoline, I would recommend not going there if you're hauling a trailer or you're driving a large gas RV. Coming up ahead pretty soon is a pilot station. That would be a lot easier to get in and out of. They also have a Subway inside the pilot if you want to get a reasonably priced lunch or dinner. That'd be a place to go for that. Coming up here on the right is a souvenir roadside vendor. He sells flags and a lot of nice metal yard art. My wife bought that sign right there, and the guy was so nice he gave us a garden flag because we are first-time buyers from him. There's McDonald's. You ate one McDonald's, you got indigestion at all of them. Can't say much more than that about that McDonald's. There's the pilot I spoke of with the Subway inside of it. There's the gas pumps up front. You can see they're pretty easy in and out compared to that mobile station back there. Towards the back is where you get your diesel if you need diesel. That building right there is a repair shop. I believe it's for tractor trailers, but I think if you had a diesel pusher RV and you're in a pinch, they might be able to help you out rather than driving a long ways trying to find a diesel dealer. Like I said, we're on Main Street right now. The speed limit's 35 miles an hour. We're in our side-by-side, which is street legal driving in Quartzsite, and I believe it is in some other Arizona smaller towns. Coming up on the left is a large parking lot with a small flea market, but inside that parking lot is Ken's Foods. He specializes in selling dense and close to being out of date, and some of the date is slightly expired food. But there's some real bargains there if you don't mind taking a chance on something. That yellow tank sign there is for K&B Tools. That's their main store, and believe me, that store can give any Harbor Freight a run for their money. They sell RV parts, and the lady behind the counter is very knowledgeable about RV parts. That's one of the many RV dealers on the right we just passed, Johnson's RV. He's got some Class C's, Class B's, Class A's. There's a Dollar General store. You've seen one, you've seen them all. The aisles are crowded and the store's a little dusty like most every Dollar General I've been in. There's a vacant lot, and this is a hardware store in what they call the big market. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to go in there. I was going to Herb's Hardware, which is up on Central Avenue, and I think Herb went out of business for the season of 2021. And man, that's a sad story there, because Herb had everything. I mean, he could rival a big city hardware store from what he had. We're coming up on another RV park here in downtown. The downtown RV parks are pretty nice. That one's the B10. You pay a little bit more for staying downtown. We stayed over in the Desert Gardens over on Kewen Road. These downtown ones, like I said, they're a little more, they're paved. The spots might be a little tighter than other ones, but we decided to stay over by Desert Gardens because we had access to the desert trails. We're closer to the flea markets. I believe that was the Desert Oasis RV park. As you can see in there, the spots are pretty darn tight. On the other hand, it is paved. It's quick access to downtown, but you're going to get all the traffic noise from Main Street here, and on the back side of that park is I10, and the traffic runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on I10. Heavy truck traffic east and west. We're coming up on another RV park. I believe, I'm not sure, it's hard for me to remember and see the signs, but I think that might be 88 Shades, possibly. I can't remember, but like I said, all these parks in town, they all kind of blend into me. We're crossing the world famous Tyson Wash here. If you look to your right, you'll be looking down towards the south. That Tyson Wash is a all-terrain trail. It's not too bad, but if you go to that direction we're looking right now, you'll come out on Kewen Street, and when you hit the street, you can take a left and you'll go to the Tyson Wells Salorama, the largest flea market in town. And also, if you stay on the Wash and cross Kewen Street, you'll almost come into the parking lot of the big RV tent show when it starts the third week of January. There's also a little trail that bumps up from Tyson Wash and takes you right in front of that ice cream store, which I'm told has some very tasty ice cream. Anyhow, if you want to back road it from Kewen up to the ice cream store, or even better yet, just go right through that little parking lot right in front of that ice cream store, and you'll come into a street, and on that intersection of that street is Silly Als Pizza. I gotta tell you, by far, the best pizza that we have ever had in our whole life. It's pretty reasonably priced. They have a full bar in there, and in the evening they have bands and dancing, live music. I'm going to pause the video here just for a second so you can get a look at the parking lot. This was around lunchtime, and the parking lot of Silly Als is absolutely packed. You'll see one of the benefits of driving around in the side-by-side is you can sneak into some really tight parking spots with a side-by-side problem-free. Like I said, you'll see the parking lot is absolutely packed, but the size of the building is slightly deceiving. When you get in there, the place is really huge, and they're used to dealing with large crowds. They're very efficient. It doesn't take long to be seated, and you'll get your pizza amazingly fast. We took ours to go a couple times because the crowds were so heavy. I just didn't feel like waiting in line for 5 or 10 minutes. I just preferred to take our pizza to go back to the RV. There's a shot of it. That's an all-the-way pizza. I think it ran about $20, which seems to be comparable for most regular cities. And you got to figure this is a tourist town. It's only open, I think Silly Als is only open 4 or 5 months a year. That's about it. Probably because it gets over 120, oh not 120, over 100 degrees in the summertime. That there is the Historical Society and Museum. They have some scheduled ATV rides out in the desert. You can meet there once a week. I think they take people out on guided tours out in the desert. You'll see 2 big cell towers there. The closer you are to the cell towers, the better the service. I'll give you a tip about that in a minute. I paused it right there because that silver store there, my wife took a class on building jewelry, and she went in there to buy some supplies, and those people were exceptionally friendly. They even gave us a few free things there for being first-time buyers. Well, continuing, we just crossed the intersection of Main Street And if we took a right there, we would have been on 95 south to Yuma and the Big Tent Sale. If we'd taken a left back there, we would have headed north on US 95 to Parker, Arizona. It's about 35 miles. There's a Walmart up there. That's the closest Walmart. And I gotta tell you, that 35 miles will probably take you an hour easily because the traffic is so thick up that way. It's 2-lane highway, and you know, there's fifth wheelers and Class A's and all kinds of bumper tow trailers, and people are just taking in the scenery, so you just have to be patient. And you're really going to need your patience when you get up to Walmart and park. Oh man, is that place crowded. The parking lot is really tight because it's just so full. Here's the hot tip. If you don't need a whole bunch of groceries and you want some fresh bread or some beer or wine, liquor, lottery, you name it, this place has it. A nice deli too. Well, thanks for watching. I look forward to reading your comments. If you like it, give me a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. And there's the Indian Chief my wife bought at Tyson Wells Cellorama.